Bonjour, bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, c'est vendredi et puis temps pour a lot episode of Rum Shop Talks. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday and it's 10 a.m., which means it's another episode. It's time for another episode of Rum Shop Talks. Hey, Lovey. We are just starting a little late today because we are having internet issues. And it's difficult to get them to fix it in the midst of COVID. So we are doing what we can. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Tess. Today's culture piece, we're just going to jump right in. So today's culture piece is actually inspired by my daughter. With all of the anime that she's been watching all summer long, she's decided to learn to speak Japanese. And I've mentioned learning to speak Creole, but what are the bonuses for learning how to speak an obscure language that is really only spoken on one island, right? And how would you go about doing that? So one way to learn how to do that is to get yourself a Creole dictionary. This is mine that I bought a couple of years ago. It is divided by the English section and you have the Creole section. So why do you want to learn an obscure language like this, right? Here is what I use my Creole for. And when you're learning Creole for that particular reason, make sure you have someone else who's learning with you. If you speak Creole, then if you want to say something about someone else, or you want to just make a comment that you don't want anyone else to know about, and you're in a crowded place, then speaking an obscure language that no one else will understand is perfect for that. Unless someone else around you speaks Creole, then you're in trouble. When I lived in New York, that was one of the coolest things because we would always speak Creole with my family on the train. I can't really do that here because I'm the only person who speaks Creole in my house, and I do speak to my family sometimes in Creole. It makes it very difficult because they have no idea what I'm talking about. So if I'm telling my children to vini, which means come, they just kind of stare at me and not come because they don't know what I just told them. But hopefully at some point they'll get it. So also, if you just Google Creole, actually if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of ways that you can learn Creole. There's actually it's called NTN News in Creole, where they actually tell St. Lucian news in Creole. So it's one way to kind of get used to hearing the language. Yeah, and Lovey just said the best jokes are in Creole. That is true. I could say something to you guys in English and it would be really funny, but you wouldn't get it. But say it in Creole and have you understand it, and all of a sudden it's hilarious. The best curses are in Creole. So again, there are total bonuses to learning an obscure language, and because we've got lots of time, California's got shut down again, kind of, figured now's the time to pick up a language. And of course, if you go to St. Lucia, then having the knowledge, the local language will give you bonus points. So that is our culture piece. You could actually get the dictionary on Amazon. So you can get everything on Amazon, but definitely you can get the dictionary on Amazon. So go get yourself a copy and start learning some words, and rope some of your friends to kind of learn some words with you so that you guys can start joking and laughing and speaking Creole around other people. So our legal piece today is actually a question that has been coming up a lot with me. I am doing a lot of trust administrations just because they've been a few people that have passed away, and I have to help the families with wrapping up the estate. And part of what we do in trust administrations is have to figure out if the assets have been titled and it's been funded into the estate. And I wanted to, it's been, a lot of the questions have been coming up about, well, what kind of assets, as we're creating estate plans and we're doing trust administrations, what kind of assets are funded in, and what do we do with assets that weren't funded into the trust? How do we handle that? So I figured I'd just kind of touch on that. There's a lot of people who create estate plans and just leave them and don't do anything with them. And so this will be speaking directly to those people who have estate plans out there and did not fund their estate plans. So how do you fund an estate plan, and what do I mean by that? So often enough, the only time we really talk about funding an estate plan is where a person has a revocable trust. And we need to make sure that the assets are put into the trust. Now, if any of you have been paying attention to the things I say, I usually say that a trust is a document, right? So how do you put a physical asset into a document? The way you do that is by changing the title of that asset. So your home, for example, is the easiest asset to fund or put into your trust, because all we do is create a new deed, putting the title of that deed into the name of your trust. So it remains the same. For us, it would be Jan Meyer as trustee of the Meyer Family Trust. And that is how you'd put the asset into your trust. And for your deed, like I said, for your house, you'd create a new deed. For your other assets, for checking accounts, for brokerage accounts, life insurance policies, if that was something that you were looking to do, you'd do that. You'd basically do the same thing. Get new signature cards executed at the bank, adding your name as trustee of your trust onto your asset, making sure that those assets are covered into your trust. What about assets that do not have titles, or assets that might be problematic even if they have titles? Happy Friday, happy Monday. I've had a long week, you guys, so if you hear me misspeaking, bear with me. It's been crazy over here. So what about assets that are not, there's no title? So jewelry, for example, artwork, those are assets that you own that might have value but don't have a way to title. So we usually use what we call a general assignment of personal property into your trust. So if you have an estate plan, you have a trust, and you don't have an assignment, then you probably should have your lawyer, whoever helped you, or you could holler at this girl, and we will make sure that we have an assignment, making sure that we cover those assets that are not easy to title into your trust. What about cars and boats? People ask those questions all the time. Those are very common assets that people have. How do you get that covered under your trust? There's titling. Should you title it? I hardly recommend changing the title of your car or your boat into your trust, or any kind of vehicle for that matter. The reason being that insurance companies don't like insuring, having auto insurance on assets that are in a trust. It complicates things, because a revocable trust, you still own it, blah, 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 blah. So for your cars and your boats and your toys, you guys, yourselves out there who have all those toys, the way to have that covered under your trust is also through an assignment of that asset into your trust. So the assignment of personal property covers all of those, what we call tangible personal property, and that includes your cars and your boats as well. Add it there without actually physically changing the title on that asset. What about businesses? There's a lot of business people out there. They own sole proprietorships, LLCs, corporations, partnerships. How do we handle those? The way we handle transferring those kind of assets into your trust is also with an assignment, but a separate kind of assignment that is very specific to the type of business that you have. For a sole proprietorship, it's just a general transfer of the business interest into your trust. For your LLCs, we transfer the LLC membership interest into your trust. For corporations, we transfer the shares, and for partnerships, we transfer the partnership interest into the trust. For all of those for assets like for businesses like the LLC, the corporation, and the partnership, you definitely want to make sure you have a lawyer helping you, because we need to review your business paper. So whatever your operating agreements, your whatever your corporate structure, whatever document that you use that guides your corporate structure, you want to make sure that those documents are reviewed, because sometimes those documents put restrictions on our ability to transfer the asset into the trust, and so you don't want to go mucking up your business by doing a DIY transfer that you haven't had any guidance and review on. So If you have business interests, you want to make sure that you have your business paperwork reviewed. And gosh, if you guys do not have business like operating agreements or any kind of like buy-sell agreement like structure into your business, now might be the time to do that, especially if you have partners who are not family members. As you can see, as an estate plan attorney, we don't only draft your wills and trusts, we also take care of those kind of we have to have like knowledge and handle your special, we call them special assets. So your special assets, making sure that they are transferred properly into your trust. And why do we care that your assets are properly transferred into your trust? Is because any asset that is left outside of the trust that is valued over $166,250, those assets